Some a woman, some a night, two men. One ends up in her bed. The other ends up wondering what the hell just happened. Every guy knows that feeling. You thought it was going well. You were funny, respectful, polite. But the moment you leaned in, she leaned out. Meanwhile, some other guy, less charming, less invested, gets everything without even trying. You're left thinking it's unfair, that women are confusing. But here's the truth no one tells you. It's not about what you say. It's about what she feels. And that feeling, it's primal. It's subconscious. It's not something she can even explain, but it decides everything. She doesn't sleep with the man who begs for connection. She sleeps with the man whose presence changes the temperature in the room, whose silence says more than your compliments ever could, whose eyes say, "I don't need you, but I'm watching you." This video is going to show you why that happens, and more importantly, how to become that man. Not through games, not through fake confidence, but through power, energy, and control rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy. Ready to flip the script? Let's get into it. Number 1. She craves mystery. Mystery isn't about being confusing. It's about being felt, not fully understood. See, women aren't drawn to men they can explain. They're drawn to men they can't quite figure out, but feel deeply pulled toward. And that's where most guys lose the game before it even starts. Let me give you a real example. Mike, 48, divorced, owns a small real estate firm in Phoenix. Out for drinks one night with some friends, he meets Claire, 34, a confident marketing exec who's been hit on 100 times that week. She's used to guys leading with their resume. Here's what I do. Here's what I drive. Here's how much I make. Mike, he didn't offer any of that. He listened more than he talked. When he did speak, he was present, calm, centered. And instead of telling her about himself, he asked her what excited her lately. When she returned the question, he just smiled and said, "I'll let you guess." And just like that, boom, tension. Claire felt the pull. Not because Mike said something special, but because he didn't rush to be known. He made her curious. That's what mystery really is, restraint with a pulse. Not being cold, not being fake, just not giving it all away. Most men make the mistake of oversharing. They confuse emotional openness with instant intimacy. They think dumping childhood trauma in the first 15 minutes shows depth. But what it actually shows is need. The need to be seen. The need to be validated. The need to be accepted fast. And that's the energy she runs from. She doesn't want to fix you. She wants to feel you. Your mystery is not about silence. It's about timing. It's knowing that you don't need to explain yourself to be seen. In fact, the less you try to be understood, the more she wants to understand you. And this taps directly into the Stoic mindset. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The truly strong man doesn't try to impress with his words. He reveals who he is through his presence, and that, my friend, is unforgettable. Think of it this way. You're not a book she's supposed to read. You're a fire she wants to sit near and wonder what's burning inside. That's mystery. That's masculine energy she can feel. And when you hold that frame, when you let her lean in while you stay grounded, you become the one she remembers, not the one she forgets the moment she walks away. So if you've ever felt the need to explain yourself, to win her over, drop it. Mystery isn't about hiding. It's about knowing you don't owe her everything, and that the right woman will want to discover it herself, piece by piece. If that's the energy you're stepping into, type it below. I move in mystery. And keep watching, because what's coming next will show you exactly why mystery alone isn't enough, but what happens when it's paired with something far more powerful. Number 2, your energy is loud. You don't have to say a word. She already knows. Before you crack that first joke, before you compliment her dress, before you try to start a conversation, she's already made a silent calculation. And no, it's not based on your looks, your clothes, or your bank account. It's based on something much deeper, your energy. You walk into a room, and something about you either settles the space or adds noise to it. It's not mystical, it's neurological. You see, the female brain evolved to read the room for safety long before it reads it for logic. She's scanning your posture, your breathing, the way your eyes move. She's not consciously doing it. Her nervous system, island. And if your energy is off, if you're tense, needy, performative, anxious, it speaks louder than anything you say. You might think, I'm doing everything right. I'm being respectful, polite, open. But the vibe says, please like me, please pick me. Lodi. She doesn't feel words, she feels resonance. And women are experts at this, even if they don't know why. That's why some men, without saying much, immediately stand out. They radiate calm, confidence, stillness. They don't project energy outward. They draw things in. This is power without force. It's exactly what Stoicism trains for. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." You're not attractive because you're trying. You're attractive because you're rooted. Your energy says, I know who I am. I don't need your approval to stand here. Women feel that. They don't analyze it, they respond to it. It hits something subconscious, primal. And here's the truth most men never realize. Your energy enters the room before your words do. So if your body says desperation, no sentence will save you. If your eyes say self-doubt, no story will impress her. If your posture says you're afraid of rejection, she won't feel desire, she'll feel burdened. But if your presence says calm certainty, she'll feel her guard drop without knowing why. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being anchored. Still, but not checked out. Present, but not eager. Curious, but not chasing. So how do you fix your energy? You don't fix it by trying harder. You don't fix it by repeating affirmations in the mirror. You fix it by dealing with your inner noise. Because energy is just emotion in motion. And if you carry fear, insecurity, or unresolved validation seeking, it leaks through your tone, your breath, your silence. Stoicism teaches, you are not your impulses, you are not your reactions, you are not the noise in your head. You are the man who decides what's worth reacting to. And that calm decision, that's what she finds irresistible. Let her feel your strength before she ever hears your voice. Now, if you're ready to let your energy speak louder than words, comment below. I radiate calm. And don't go anywhere, because the next thing you'll learn is what status she actually responds to, and it's not what you think. Number 3. Status she feels, not sees. A woman can feel your status before you even sit down. It's not in your car. It's not in your career. And no, it's not in your confidence quotes on social media. Status to her is felt, not seen. And when it's real, it's almost impossible to explain, but completely impossible to ignore. Let me show you what I mean. David, 52, runs a successful construction company in Dallas. He's got everything most guys think women want. Money, presence, even a little swagger. When he meets women, he lays it all out: the house, the cars, the deals, the lifestyle. But he can't keep them interested past the second date. Now let's talk about James, 44, gym owner in Austin. Dresses simple, speaks less, carries himself with calm. When a woman asks about his business, he says, "It does well," and moves on. No flexing, no proving. He asks questions, he waits, he listens, and when he speaks, there's weight. James doesn't chase impressions. And that's exactly why he makes one. Women don't need a man to show them success. They need to feel that he's lived through challenges, made it through hell, and came out unshaken. Not hard, but solid. You know what they say, still waters run deep. James moves like that. Now, Stoicism calls this inner citadel a kind of unshakable fortress inside you. Marcus Aurelius called it a mind free from passion, prepared for anything. In plain English, he's not reactive, he's not eager, he doesn't need her validation. That's the kind of presence that sets her nervous system at ease and sets her curiosity on fire. Let's break this down further. When you lead with achievements, you're signaling one thing: insecurity. You're saying, please find me impressive. Please notice what I've built. Please choose me. But high-status men aren't trying to be chosen. They are the prize. Their status shows up in the way they say no without fear, in how they respond to disrespect calmly, not emotionally, in how they handle small talk like it's optional, not mandatory. That's what makes women feel safe and excited at the same time. She doesn't want a trophy. She wants a man who doesn't need to be on display. She wants to know, if everything collapsed, would you still be centered? If she tested you emotionally, would you flinch? If she pulled away, would you panic or stay grounded? Most men fall apart at the first sign of coldness. The man with real status, he stays rooted. Seneca said, "The higher a man is in virtue, the less he is disturbed by insult or injury." Let that sink in. Status isn't in how loud you are. It's in how little you're shaken by what's outside of you. So next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, stop. Instead, own your silence. Let her wonder what you're made of. Let her feel your status, not hear about it. Because when she feels your presence more than she hears your pitch, you become unforgettable. And if that's the version of yourself you're building, type this below: I hold quiet power. Stick around. The next thing we uncover is the hidden magnetic force most men ignore. And it works every time she looks at you. Number 4. Emotional self-control is seduction. She doesn't want the man who wins the argument. She wants the man who doesn't need to argue at all. There's a reason: the guy who stays cool when she gets emotional, the guy who doesn't flinch when she pulls back, the guy who doesn't spiral when she tests his limits, ends up being the one she can't stop thinking about. It's not just strength. It's not just discipline. It's emotional self-control. And that is the most seductive thing a man can carry. Most men collapse under pressure. You say the wrong thing, they panic. She cancels a date, they beg or lash out. She acts distant, they chase harder. But women don't test men because they're cruel. They test because they want to feel safe. Safe in knowing that you don't lose yourself the moment she changes. If your mood depends on her behavior, you've already lost the game. Because now you've handed her the emotional steering wheel. And the moment she senses that power, her attraction drops. Stoicism teaches this at the core. It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things. Epictetus. It's not what she says. It's not what she does. It's how you interpret it and how you respond. When you don't react emotionally, when you breathe, pause, and stay calm, she doesn't feel neglected. She feels stabilized. Your presence becomes an anchor, and that, more than muscles or money, makes her lean in. Think about it. Any man can talk smooth when things are going his way. But the one who stays composed under tension, that's rare, that's power. And women are wired to seek that kind of energy. The biological truth? She's looking for a man who can withstand chaos, hers, life's, the world's. If you can't handle her mood swings without becoming one yourself, you're not showing strength. You're showing fragility. Now, that doesn't mean being emotionless. It means you own your emotions, they don't own you. If you're annoyed, you notice it, but you don't lash out. If you're disappointed, you feel it, but you don't crumble. You let the wave pass and you remain centered. There's a quiet sexiness in that. When you don't flinch, don't chase, don't argue, don't explain. When your calmness becomes a mirror she's forced to look into. She'll start wondering why you're so stable, and what it would take to get you emotionally invested. That curiosity, that's where seduction begins. It's in the space between her drama and your peace. It's in the silence after her test when you don't react, but just smile. It's in the moment she expects you to chase, and you simply lean back. That's the kind of tension that makes her want you more, not because you're distant, but because you're in control. If you've ever let your emotions get the best of you, no shame. But starting today, every pause, every deep breath, every decision not to react, puts you one step closer to becoming unshakable. If that's who you're becoming, drop it below. I master my energy. And if you think that's powerful, wait until you understand how attraction lives in your silence. Number 5. She feels your frame. Let me tell you something that changes everything. She doesn't fall for your looks. She doesn't fall for your job. She falls for your frame, the invisible structure that holds your entire personality together. And the truth is, she can feel it in seconds. So what is frame? Frame is your perspective, your worldview, your inner compass. It's how you interpret the world and how much you allow the world to shape you in return. When a man has a strong frame, he doesn't adapt himself to win approval. He lets others reveal who they are and decides who fits his world. Now let's make this real. Mark, 49, lives in Phoenix. Divorced 5 years ago, started reading philosophy and rebuilding his identity. Now he runs a mid-sized accounting firm, hits the gym 3 times a week, and spends weekends hiking. He meets Jessica, 41, smart, attractive, confident. On their second date, she throws a test. You don't seem like the emotional type. Women need connection, you know. Now, most men would flinch. They'd scramble to explain themselves, to prove they're emotionally available, to not mess it up. But Mark, he smiles and says, I connect deeply, just not fast. I value depth, not speed. No apologies, no defensiveness. He didn't let her question shake him. He stood inside his frame and let her decide whether she belonged in it. And just like that, her interest tripled. Because here's the secret. A woman is always scanning for something deeper than attraction. She's looking for a man who's internally governed, who doesn't bend to her moods, her tests, or the social script. Why? Because that kind of man can lead. And leadership, not control, not domination, but grounded inner leadership, is what makes her feel safe, feminine, and turned on. Now let's bring in a Stoic angle. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That's what having a frame really means. You don't argue it. You don't convince anyone of it. You live it in your tone, in your pace, in how unbothered you are when she tries to pull you off center. You don't correct her. You don't chase validation. You hold your ground and she feels it. Think about how powerful that island. Because when you have a strong frame, you no longer need to play games. You don't become reactive when she withdraws affection. You don't try harder when she gets cold. You simply observe and respond only when it's worth it. That's what seduces her on a level she can't even articulate. She starts wondering, why doesn't he bend? Why do I feel like I'm stepping into his world? Why do I respect him more the less he tries to impress me? Because you're not a boy trying to earn approval. You're a man with a life, a frame and space she can be invited into, not manipulate. And when she realizes she can't shake your foundation, that's when she starts leaning in hard. If you've ever let your frame collapse just to avoid losing a woman, it's time to flip the script. From now on, you're the one who defines the terms. Not with force, with clarity, with peace, with boundaries that don't shake. If that's the energy you're stepping into, comment below. I lead with frame. And next, you'll see why withholding attention not out of strategy, but out of strength makes her desire spike through the roof. Number 6. She rewards detachment. Let's be brutally honest. Nothing dries up attraction faster than a man who's emotionally dependent on the outcome. When a woman senses that you need her, that her presence dictates your peace of mind, that's when she starts pulling away. On the surface, it sounds cruel, but at a biological level, it makes sense. She's not testing you to play games. She's testing you to feel your detachment. The man who doesn't flinch when she pulls away. The man who doesn't panic when she goes cold. The man who holds his ground when attention shifts. That's the man who becomes magnetic. Why? Because he's not there to get something. He's there to offer something from abundance, not from need. This is where most guys fail. They act indifferent as a tactic, but it's not real. They're still watching their phone, still replaying the last message, still hoping. And women feel that energy instantly. Detachment isn't pretending not to care. It's genuinely being okay regardless of outcome. It's not heartless, it's powerful. It says, I like you, but I don't need you to like me back. That's the space where attraction breathes. That's the space where she feels safe to lean in, because you're not trying to control her choice. The Stoics nailed this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." In relationships, that means you enjoy her company deeply, but you don't collapse when it ends. You don't beg, you don't chase, you don't spiral. You observe, you accept, you move forward with dignity. And you know what happens? That detachment pulls her back in, because now you've reversed the polarity. She feels you're not chasing, and suddenly you're the one she wants to impress. Because here's what women truly want to feel. They want to feel chosen, not needed. They want to feel seen but not smothered. They want your presence, not your obsession. The more secure you are with letting her walk away, the more curious she becomes about why she can't shake you. This isn't about playing cold. This is about owning your emotional center. You're not avoiding connection. You're protecting your peace. Because a man who's willing to lose her rather than lose himself is the man she'll fight to keep. Here's the ironic part. When you stop chasing, you become the one they chase. Not because you're manipulative, but because you're finally aligned with the truth. That your value doesn't increase because someone sees it. It's already there whether they stay or go. So if you've ever begged for a response, checked your phone 20 times an hour, let your emotions spiral just because she pulled back, it's time to flip that script. From this moment forward, your detachment becomes your strength. It becomes the thing that tells her, I'm whole, I'm grounded, you're welcome here, but you're not my heir. If that resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I lead with peace. And in the next section, you'll discover how a subtle shift in how you speak, not what you say, instantly changes the way she sees you. Number 7. She sleeps with certainty. Let's cut through the noise. Women don't sleep with potential. They sleep with certainty. Not the kind of certainty that says, I'm rich. Not the one that screams, I'm ripped. But the certainty that shows up in your energy, in your tone, in your decisions, and never wavers. Let me show you exactly how this works. David, 48, lives in San Diego, successful in real estate, divorced, 2 teenage sons. He recently started seeing Lauren, 43, a yoga instructor. They hit it off fast, good banter, chemistry, but something felt off. She liked him, but she didn't trust the space with him. You know why? Because David second-guessed everything. He'd ask where she wanted to eat, then change plans twice. He'd say, we should get away, then go quiet for a week. He'd open up about wanting something real, then joke it off the next day. His presence felt like walking on shifting sand. And no matter how attractive or successful he was, Lauren never slept with him. Now compare that to Caleb, 55, retired Marine, now a fitness coach in Nashville. Not flashy, not loud, but every word feels like stone. When he says he'll call, he calls. When he plans a date, it's already booked. When he says, I like where this is going, he means it. Lauren met Caleb 6 weeks later, and within 3 dates, they were emotionally and physically locked in. Why? Because certainty is safety. It tells her, I'm not here to impress you. I know who I am. I don't chase options. I create direction. I can carry tension without folding. This is the type of energy that makes a woman relax into her femininity. And when she feels that she drops her guard, she lets go. She leans in, and she starts desiring you in a way that isn't even logical. Here's the Stoic layer underneath all this. Seneca said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." A man without direction, emotional, spiritual, even conversational, is untrustworthy. Not because he's bad, but because he's unreliable. Certainty isn't about being right. It's about being rooted in your values, your words, your actions, and aligning them. Most guys confuse certainty with dominance. They think being aggressive is attractive, but it's not volume that matters. It's clarity. When you speak with intention, when you keep your word, when you don't let emotion shake your path, that's what creates tension. That's what makes her feel like she's in the presence of a man who can hold the room and her without blinking. You want to know why women flake, hesitate, or aren't ready. It's not always about them. Sometimes it's about the lack of stability they sense in you. So stop over-explaining. Stop overthinking. Stop performing. And start owning your direction. Even if she doesn't like the answer, your certainty earns her respect. And the moment she respects you, intimacy is no longer a question of timing. It becomes a natural, powerful pull, because she can only surrender in a space that feels unshakable. If that's the kind of man you're becoming, write this in the comments. I move with certainty. What comes next? Let's just say it has nothing to do with your words, and everything to do with the way silence touches her differently. Number 8. The calm turns her on. Let's get one thing clear. In a world that constantly shouts, a man who can be calm, deeply calm, becomes instantly attractive. Why? Because calm is rare. It's the language of self-trust. It tells her everything she needs to know, without you saying a word. Most men try to win attention by being loud, charming, clever. But women aren't just listening to your words, they're feeling your energy. And calm, that's the real flex. It says, I've seen storms before, and I don't chase what doesn't stay. I can hold space without needing control. This calm doesn't come from acting cool. It's not about pretending. It comes from inner alignment, the kind that Stoicism teaches. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what women crave. Not emotional numbness, not fake zen, but a man who doesn't let the world shake his center. A man who can feel chaos and still breathe through it. Because here's the truth. Every woman carries emotional tension. It's part of her world. What she's looking for is a man whose calm doesn't collapse under that tension. She doesn't want to manage your anxiety. She wants to melt into your presence. Think about the last time you walked into a room and instantly knew who was grounded. They didn't need to say much. They didn't seek approval. They weren't rushed. They just were. And everyone else adjusted around them. That's the effect you have when you move with calm, not just physically, but emotionally. You pose more. You speak slower. You observe before reacting. You sit in silence, and you're okay with it. And she feels all of that. Because calm isn't absence of emotion. It's mastery over it. It tells her, you can bring your full self here, and I won't flinch. You can cry, scream, feel it all, and I'll stay centered. Seneca put it like this: he who is brave is free. And bravery isn't just battlefields. It's emotional discipline. It's refusing to let her moods dictate yours. That freedom? It's sexy in the most primal way. Because it tells her, this man won't be manipulated. He won't fold. He's safe, because he doesn't need to prove he island. And in that safety, desire grows. Not because you try to make her feel something, but because you give her space to feel everything. That's when she relaxes into her femininity. That's when the flirtation deepens. That's when she chooses you not just for your body or charm, but for your stillness. So, if you've ever thought being calm made you invisible, think again. Calm men are the most dangerous, because when they finally look at her, truly look, she knows he's already seen 1,000 storms and walked through every one of them unfazed. That's what makes her pulse race. Not chaos, not charm, but calm, the kind she can feel across the room. If you're building that energy in your life right now, tell the world in the comments, I move in stillness. Next up, you'll learn how calm becomes irresistible when it's paired with one unexpected quality most men never dare to show. Number 9. Let her earn your focus. Let's be honest. Most guys are giving their attention away like it costs nothing. Responding instantly, double texting, over-explaining, over-investing way before it's earned. But here's what women actually want. Your focus? It has to feel like something she earns, not something you beg her to take. Because the moment your attention becomes cheap, so do you. Let me give you a real-world story that might hit close to home. Mark, 57, divorced for 4 years, works in software consulting in Denver. He recently matched with Heather, 46, an attractive and witty woman who teaches literature at a local college. On their first date, he came in strong, pulled out her chair, asked thoughtful questions, and made her laugh. Great start. But after the date, Mark couldn't help himself. He texted her, had an amazing time, before she even got home. Next morning, still thinking about you. Then midweek, want to see you again Friday or Saturday. I'm free both nights. Now, Heather didn't ghost him. She just slowly backed away. Took longer to reply. Seemed busy. Why? Because Mark gave her maximum access before she earned it. Now here's the twist. Just a month earlier, Heather went out with Tony, 53, former Navy, now a regional manager for an industrial company. Tony was warm, present, funny, but not overly available. He let her talk. He didn't rush to follow up. He didn't over-message. And when she suggested dinner, he said, that could be fun. Let's see how the week plays out. Guess who she chased? Exactly. Because focus that's earned hits different. It tells her, I'm not desperate. I have direction, and you're not the center of my universe yet. Now, this doesn't mean playing games. It's not about withholding to manipulate. It's about being intentional. You don't invest just because she's beautiful. You invest because she's showing up, matching your energy, and respecting your time. This is where Stoicism enters the room. Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Translation, just because you feel something strongly, attraction, connection, excitement, doesn't mean you let it rule your actions. The Stoic man knows his emotions, but he doesn't let them drive. He chooses when and how to give his focus, and only to those who've shown they're worthy of it. That's not arrogance. That's emotional discipline, because your attention is currency, and when you spend it recklessly, you get low-value returns. But when you're selective, women notice. They lean in. They chase clarity. They start asking questions like, is he into me? Did I earn his interest? And that's exactly where you want her, in the space where she's proving value, not just receiving yours. Let's not forget, in a world of likes, swipes, and instant access, scarcity is sexy. A man who doesn't give it all away, he becomes a mystery, and mystery builds desire. So don't hand out validation like samples at a grocery store. Make her qualify for your time, your energy, your focus, not by being mean, not by acting cold, but by being rooted in this belief. I don't chase validation, I filter for value. Because when you start treating your focus as sacred, she'll start seeing it that way too. And if you're already living like that, if your attention isn't for sale, but for the worthy, let me know in the comments. You don't chase validation. Next, you'll discover the unexpected masculine quality that doesn't just attract her, it pulls her in emotionally like nothing else she's experienced. Number 10. Be her secret obsession. Let's get something straight. Women don't obsess over men who are available. They obsess over men who feel just out of reach. Men who give them a taste and leave them wondering what else is beneath the surface. Obsession doesn't come from showing up 24/7. It comes from showing up as a man she can't fully decode. Think about it. She's not replaying a text from a guy who instantly tells her everything. She's replaying the guy who dropped a line that felt deep, then let silence do the work. She's not fantasizing about the man who made it clear from day one that he was all in. She's hooked on the one who gave just enough spark and then disappeared into his purpose. That's the key. Obsession isn't built through presence, it's built through pullback. You want her thinking about you when you're not in the room. You want her hearing your words when she's laying in bed alone. You want her wondering what you're doing, not because you're playing games, but because you've built a life so full that she's not the center of it. Here's the reality. The men who are most addictive are the ones who seem whole without her. They're not chasing. They're not explaining. They're not giving her daily check-ins. They drop impact. Then they disappear. This is the paradox. The less you need her, the more she wants you. Not because she's playing hard to get, but because deep down, every woman wants to feel like she's earned a piece of something rare. You can't become her obsession if you're just like every other man, instantly open, always available, constantly reassuring. That doesn't trigger her imagination. It doesn't challenge her emotionally. And it definitely doesn't make her crave more. Let me flip the script. You've heard people say, treat her like a queen. But obsession isn't born in comfort, it's born in contrast. The contrast between how calm you are in her presence and how mysterious you are when she can't reach you. The contrast between the deep moment you shared and your ability to vanish into your own world again. The contrast between intensity and absence. That's what lingers in her mind. Not, he really likes me, but what is this man really about? Here's where Stoicism gives you the upper hand. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one of. You don't obsess over whether she likes you. You don't micromanage her responses. You build a life that's heavy with purpose, and your presence becomes a reward, not a default. You give your attention with intention. You show desire without dependency. You remain open, but not exposed. And that edge, that subtle, unshakable confidence, that's what gets under her skin. She'll talk about you with her friends. She'll reread your messages. She'll analyze your pauses, your tone, your timing. Because you're not just another man. You've become a mirror to her own desire, and she can't look away. To be her secret obsession isn't about manipulation. It's about knowing your value so well that you never rush to hand it over. It's about showing up with depth and disappearing with direction. And if she's lucky enough to get more of you, it won't be because she asked. It'll be because you chose. That's the man she'll crave. That's the man she'll dream about. That's the man she'll compare every other one to. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the one she couldn't quite figure out and couldn't forget. So now you understand it's not about being the loudest guy in the room. It's about being the man whose silence makes her think, whose calm energy pulls her in, whose presence sticks with her long after you've walked away. From mystery to emotional control to detachment, you've just seen the exact psychology behind why some men instantly trigger deep desire while others get ignored. And here's the truth. You don't need to be younger, richer, or smoother. You just need to become the man who makes her feel something powerful without even trying. If that's the kind of man you're becoming, make sure you're subscribed, because that's exactly what this channel is here to sharpen every single day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.